Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate?
Last night was the third Republican primary debate. And that was just a small taste of Vivek Ramaswamy, who came out the gate, if you were watching, super aggressive last night. Now, there's only 67 days left until the Iowa caucus, and 5 of the candidates participated in the debate. Trump, of course, didn't go. He's still protesting them. But what he did do was hold a rally nearby. DeSantis and Christie attacked him for that.
He owes it to you to be on this stage and explain why he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing.
I'll say this about Donald Trump. Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country, and it needs to be said plainly.
It's funny that he said he's sick of Republicans losing, and we're going to get into in a second why it's ridiculous considering they're doubling and tripling down on the very things that are making the Republicans lose. But Jackson, I understand why Trump isn't going to these debates, right? I understand why they need to attack him for it, but at the same time, he's almost, in every way possible, already assured that he's going to be the candidate. Why bother giving these other people the legitimacy, right? Giving DeSantis, giving Christie, who are not going to be the candidate. Let's just be honest. They're not going to be the candidate in this upcoming election, giving them the legitimacy. And I'm not saying that I want Trump to be the candidate, but if we're looking at this objectively, that's what's going to happen.
Well, I was chuckling like before you said that, because, it's like, Donald Trump's making the pragmatic decision. Doesn't really matter if he shows up to the debates, but he's going to show up to the trials that he doesn't have to be at and step outside and run his mouth about the judges and the prosecutors, when he could just, so Donald Trump, picks and chooses. He accidentally acts practically from time to time. I think I saw some footage of him at one of his rallies he just had, and it was like, they want me at the debates, but I'm at a rally right now and there's in front of 10,000 people. And that's a lot harder than it is to show up to a debate. And like he just started like congratulating himself. And but you're right. I mean, it's a done deal for him in the Republican primary. And in fact, his polling continues to rise in the general and in the primary. Right now, polling in the primary is more important. But I mean, it's over. It's been over.
And it's funny because if you look at the more head-to-head Trump versus Biden versus, let's say, Nikki Haley versus Biden, or any Republican who's still in the race, who hasn't dropped out, as we've seen some of them do already, versus Biden, they poll a lot better than Donald Trump. But this just goes to show the total capture that Donald Trump has of the Republican Party. And I've talked about this time and time again, but I just can't help but think of ahead of the 2020 election at the RNC, at their convention, what were they saying, right? That their entire platform is going to be whatever Trump says it is. That's usually when the Republican Party would announce the main policy points they want to stick to in the upcoming election in the upcoming years, what they're advocating for. But they didn't. They just said whatever Trump says goes. And it's been that way, right? It's continued to be that way for the party. And it's really going to harm them because, let's say Nikki Haley runs against Biden. She beats him handedly, clearly a front runner against Joe Biden. Not that I would want that to happen. I want to be clear, but just looking at this electorally, Trump, it's a lot closer of a race, but they can't go against him because of the stranglehold he has on the party.
And I think what's most important about that, and you kind of setting up a scenario where Biden will be going against someone like Nikki Haley is, we're still a year out from the election, but the closer we get to the election, the more people pay attention and the more people start to really weigh things out. And Donald Trump is just in a terrible position. He just is. He's already been found liable of fraud. And he can't shut his mouth, and he can't stop making things worse for himself. So whatever happens with this civil case is going to continue to drive him out of his mind. 91 federal charges. He's not going to beat all of them. The list goes on and on. Nikki Haley has none of that to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like there's none of this stuff that's up in the air. Like, maybe she'll be in prison. And people, again, aren't going to have to actually consider these things. Nikki Haley could put together a competent campaign. Donald Trump, look at his lawyer and attorney situation. Nobody wants to work with him, on top of the fact that he doesn't pay people anyway. So when it's time to put together a general election campaign, the polls can say what they say now, but if everyone who works on his campaign sucks, which is what it's looking like, it'll be another story. So yeah, Nikki Haley would absolutely be a better bet, but Trump took over the party, so it's over.